The morning sun filtered through the lace curtains as Evelyn Saunders stirred her tea. At 72, mornings had become slower, not by choice, but by necessity. Her knees stiffened overnight, and her legs ached as soon as she put her feet on the ground. She winced each time she got up from her chair, and walking more than a block had started to feel like wading through wet cement. It's just arthritis, her doctor had said. Normal at your age. But Evelyn wasn't content with normal. Not when every step felt like punishment. She ate well, mostly home-cooked meals, and she avoided processed snacks. Still, the pain lingered, dull and heavy. She couldn't kneel in her garden like she used to, couldn't dance in the kitchen when her favorite song came on. One morning, while reading a senior health blog over breakfast, a headline caught her eye. Goodbye inflammation and leg pain. Avoid eating eggs with these 6 foods after 60. She paused mid-bite, a forkful of scrambled eggs halfway to her mouth. Evelyn had eggs every morning, always had. Sometimes with toast, sometimes with sausage, sometimes with spinach and cheese. Could that be making her feel worse? Curious, she read on. The article listed 6 foods commonly paired with eggs that, especially after 60, could trigger inflammation, worsening joint pain, stiffness, and chronic fatigue. Evelyn blinked as she read the list. 4 of the 6 were regulars on her plate. 1. Processed meats, like bacon and sausage. These meats were high in saturated fats and nitrates, both known to increase inflammation in older adults. Evelyn loved her breakfast sausage links, but the article explained how they could lead to increased joint swelling and worsen arthritis symptoms. 2. White bread or refined carbs. That slice of toast she buttered each morning? It was made from white flour, spiking blood sugar and aggravating inflammation. 3. Cheese, especially processed types. She often added shredded cheese to her eggs, but according to the article, dairy, particularly processed cheeses, was another inflammatory trigger, especially for people sensitive to casein. 4. Vegetable oils, like corn or soybean oil. Evelyn used a non-stick spray made with soybean oil. But the article pointed out these oils were high in omega-6 fatty acids, which, without balance from omega-3s, fuel inflammatory responses in the body. 5. Ketchup and sugary sauces. She didn't eat ketchup much, but occasionally added sweet sauces to eggs on weekends. The sugar and preservatives in these condiments could make inflammation worse. 6. Artificial sweeteners, like those in diet foods or low-calorie syrups. She didn't use sugar, opting instead for a sugar-free syrup on her eggs and toast. But studies now showed that some artificial sweeteners disrupted gut health, contributing to chronic inflammation. Evelyn leaned back in her chair. Her breakfast, the one she thought was healthy, was doing her no favors. Eggs themselves weren't the issue. In fact, they were rich in protein and essential nutrients like choline and vitamin D. But pairing them with the wrong foods turned her meal into a minefield. That morning, she made a decision. The next day, she tried something new. She cooked her eggs in a splash of olive oil instead of spray. She added sautéed spinach, turmeric, and a pinch of black pepper, natural anti-inflammatories. On the side, she had a small bowl of fresh berries instead of toast, and green tea instead of coffee with sweetener. It wasn't the same as her old breakfast, but it felt good. Within a week, she noticed her ankles weren't as swollen when she woke. 2 weeks later, the stairs didn't seem as daunting. By the end of the month, her walks around the block had doubled in length. No, the pain wasn't gone completely, but it was no longer a constant shadow. Curious and encouraged, she began learning more about inflammatory foods. She swapped her white sandwich bread for sprouted grain loaves, replaced processed meats with grilled turkey or salmon. She used herbs and spices, ginger, garlic, cinnamon, to add flavor instead of sauces and cheese. Her neighbor, Helen, noticed the difference. "You've got a bounce in your step again, Evelyn," she said during their afternoon walk. "What changed?" "I stopped fighting my food," Evelyn replied. "Turns out breakfast was betraying me." Soon, Evelyn was sharing her discoveries at the local senior center. A small group of women started meeting for anti-inflammation brunch once a week, bringing egg dishes made with vegetables, avocado, and anti-inflammatory spices. They swapped recipes and grocery tips. They talked not just about what not to eat, but about the power of mindful pairing. Evelyn's pain didn't vanish overnight, but it no longer ruled her day. She danced again, cautiously at first, then freely. She returned to her garden. Her joints still creaked, but they moved. Her hands still stiffened, but they could grip. Food had been the missing piece, not a pill, not a surgery, not even a workout routine, just knowing what to avoid and what to embrace. She kept a note taped to her fridge. Eggs are fine. It's what you eat with them that matters. And underneath, she had written in her neat cursive, yes to olive oil, leafy greens, berries, turmeric and garlic, avocado, whole grains occasionally. No to bacon and sausage, white bread, cheese, sweet sauces, artificial sweeteners, processed oils. Evelyn never looked at her plate the same way again, and her legs, they carried her, not perfectly, but proudly, one strong step at a time.